Hey everyone and welcome back to Cade's Comics. Last week I made a video called 10 Classics I Hadn't Read, and this week I'm making the opposite of that video. This is 10 Classics that I have read. Hopefully a lot of people enjoyed this video, and if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another video. And if you're not new to the channel and you've seen it before, I hope you enjoy this video like all the others. And without further ado, let's get into it. So, number 10, I've got Spider-Man Life Story by Chip Zdarsky. I consider this to be a classic because it's so highly recommended and regarded, and it was actually the first Spider-Man book I ever read, which I know to a lot of people they'll think I didn't appreciate it, but I did, and I really liked it, and I'm so excited to reread it once I've read all the classic Spider-Man things that happened. I thought the way that he handled some topics, the way that it went through Peter's life was fantastic, and Chip Zdarsky's writing I've always really liked, so yeah, I consider this to be a classic because I thought if I just picked 10 classics from years and years ago, then I don't know, what makes something a classic? It just, to me, this is a classic. And at number 9, I've got Crisis on Infinite Earths. The main DC event, the first event that kicked off the Crisis, everything that's gone after, I think I sold my copy of this book. I thought it was okay, but didn't rate it as highly as I thought I would. It's so highly spoken about, and if you ask people about Crisis on Infinite Earths, odds are they'll probably say, oh, it's amazing, or it kicked off everything. And yeah, just because something's the first to do something doesn't make it the best necessarily. This was really convoluted, really intricate. There was parts of it I did enjoy, don't get me wrong. The stuff with Supergirl around issue 4, I think, it was okay, it wasn't great. The ending was interesting. Yeah, strange, but not great. I don't know. I'm sure some of you guys really like it and have like the absolutes and stuff like that. At number 8, we have Batman: The Killing Joke by Alan Moore. Now, if you've seen the channel or if you've been watching me for a while or anything like that, you might know this was the first ever comic book I read at 11. If you've read this book, then you can probably imagine why that was really awkward for an 11-year-old to read it. Probably not the best introduction, but I literally googled best comic books, saw that this was like number 1 on a lot of lists, and between this and Watchmen, thought I'd go for this. It was a strange introduction, but it was my introduction, and everyone has to start somewhere. It was a cool book to read at the time. I don't really remember too much of it. Obviously, I remember the quintessential points. I don't remember the whole thing, so it'd be really cool to go back now I'm like 10 years older and read it. Yeah, who knows? I might absolutely love it, or I might hate it even more. But The Killing Joke, I mean, whatever you think about it, it is a classic. It's like a classic Batman story, and I've read it, and I thought it was good. Then, if you saw last week's video, you'll know I had a couple Brian K. Vaughan picks on there. One of them was Saga, the other was Pride of Baghdad, and I have another Brian K. Vaughan pick on here. I've got Why the Last Man. This was the first omnibus I ever owned. I got this last year in August, I believe. Read it from about November to December. I think I spoke about this in 5 Recent Reads episode 3. Really enjoyed the story. I thought the way that Brian K. Vaughan was able to write the story made it really interesting. The way he wrote the character of Yorick and the interactions he had with the female characters, I felt like it wasn't really written from a point of view of a male at times, but obviously I can't speak because I am a male. Throughout the book, it didn't seem like it was written by a male from a male point of view, but again, I can't give the best insight to that, but that was just my thought. I thought it was a really well-rounded story, and it didn't seem like this last man on Earth was being hunted for sex by all these women. There was really a lot more to it than that, and I enjoyed it, and the last panel of the book has stuck with me for so long, and yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was good. It would have been cool to see it coming out in single issues and read it at the time, and just see people's reaction to the single issue, the final issue, but who knows. I did enjoy it, and I'm glad I have the omnibus of it. I probably won't sell it or part with it anytime soon. Then number 6 is another book I read a long time ago, and it's another one of the first comics I read. This is Batman Hush. It's another Batman story, so you can really see where I wanted to start with comics and where I did start with comics. I started reading a lot of Batman stuff. I think I read Killing Joke, then I read this, then I read the New 52 stuff. Yeah, I read this ages ago in the 2-part Eagle Moss books, and I still have them. I just remember the Jim Lee artwork being phenomenal. Really enjoyed the story, and I remember the scene of Joker on the crates. That's one of the most famous comic scenes, and like when you Google Joker, or like when anyone really has an image of Joker, a lot of the times it's that Hush image of him on top of the crate. It's so cool, and yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought the character of Thomas Elliot was really cool. It'd be cool to see Matt Reeves do something like that, in the Batman universe if it did get a sequel, because it's mentioned in the recent Batman film. But yeah, it was cool. It's a really nice detective mystery series for Batman, where he's not fighting cosmic gods or anything like that, and he's not going after like nth metal or anything like that either. But yeah, Batman Hush, I really liked it. I'd like to reread it as well. I think maybe do a retrospective on it. Then number 5, I've got Tom King's Vision. Now, if you'd have told me that a story about the character Vision would have been one of my favourite reads of last year, I wouldn't have believed you. But the way that Tom King is able to write this series is really fascinating. It reminded me of something almost like a film like Killing of a Sacred Deer or The Lobster or something, like one of those indie films that's like really claustrophobic and like things build and build and build and escalate. And it was about Vision, a character that I'd seen in the MCU but hadn't read anything of before. And he was living in the suburbs with a family. It's fascinating. I loved it, and yeah, I read it all in one sitting. I'd like to go and reread it again, and maybe even like pick up a hardback of it or something, because I only have it in a trade. But it was really cool. It was really nice, and well, it was it was really cool to see what Tom King was able to do with that character. So that's Vision by Tom King. All right, then we're into the top 4. Now these are 4 of my favourite books. These are 4 books I absolutely love. Yeah, for the most part. Number 4 is Preacher by Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. I absolutely love this series. I really, really enjoyed reading it. I do have a review series on the channel, which is 6 parts. It's looking at each one of the books that I read. It's so cool that it has, 75 issues, but this story feels like it goes on for hundreds and hundreds. Like, all the characters are so intricate, so well detailed. I felt that some of the fights in it were the most awesome spectacle things I've ever seen, and my favourite scene of Preacher of all time, probably for any comic, is just when Jesse punches Cassidy and then goes inside the flat and he's like, I need to go to the hospital, I just broke every bone in my hand, and he's like so stoic the whole time and just remains like plain faced. But yeah, it was really cool. It was one that a lot of people had told me I needed to read for a while, and I wanted to get into a little bit more indie stuff, but also some more mature stuff that's not like all superheroes. I'd never probably want to see a sequel to it, just because the ending was so perfect. Like, it fit those characters perfectly, and it was good to just see how it ended where it ended. Yeah, really enjoyed it, and that's a classic for a lot of people. I'd love to get the absolutes. They look incredible. Then number 3 is my all-time favourite comic by Robert Kirkman, Ryan Ottley, and Cory Walker. It's Invincible. Invincible follows the story of Mark Grayson growing up, and I read it at a time where I wasn't going through the best place mentally, and it was something that got me out of bed and like made me want to read and like sit outside and read, or just sit and read for a few hours. And I absolutely love the story. I loved how you get to see Mark grow up from being this teen to being this man. Some of the fights in that are brutal. The one with Conquest is probably my favourite comic fight of all time. I did make a video on the best comic fights of all time, and I think I put that at number 1. I should have, and if I didn't, then it definitely deserves to be. And it's a classic Image title. Like, you've got things like Spawn, you've got Savage Dragon, you've got The Walking Dead, but Invincible is like a classic Image story, and Robert Kirkman's writing never fails to impress me. Things like Battle Pope that I've read that aren't necessarily his greatest still fascinate me because of his writing and the ability that he has to write a character. Okay, then the last 2. So number 2, I've got Kraven's Last Hunt. This book I was not expecting to love as much as I did. I read it all in one sitting again, like most of the books I read, and it just stuck with me so much. I know I've said that for a lot of these books, but it did. The scene of Peter in the sewer fighting vermin, just saying like, I'm not dead, or he goes under the water and comes back up. And I did a review on this book, so go check that out if you want to see that. A lot of these I've done reviews on: Invincible, Preacher, Kraven's Last Hunt. Like, I did reviews on all of these because I loved them so much and I wanted to speak more about them rather than just a little section in 5 recent reads. I need to bring reviews back. I need to do more of them because I've read some really good stuff recently. But yeah, Kraven's Last Hunt was great. It was my introduction to Kraven, and it was my introduction to Vermin as well, which was a character I've never seen since, but it was cool how he was like this big character, and he's just a character you never hear of. But it was great. It's really great, and Craven's character in that is so cool. I'd love to see something like that in the MCU, but I don't think they would do something like that just because it's quite dark and like the ending. Yeah, who knows. And then number 1 is kind of a two-way tie almost. It's Long Halloween and Dark Victory. These are in no particular order. I'm not rating these or anything when I say they're a tie, but these are just like one story to me. And if you saw my March haul, you'll have seen that I got the Tim Sale Jeff Loeb omnibus that collects them all, because in my mind that's the best way to have it all in one go, all in one place. Now, Long Halloween I enjoyed, I thought it was great, but Dark Victory I enjoyed so much more. I thought it was really, really good, and I don't think it really gets the respect that it deserves. In my mind, it's better than Long Halloween. When you hear people comparing the two, a lot of people talk about Long Halloween more favourably, but yeah, Dark Victory was so good, and I want to go back and read them. I'm definitely going to go back, read that omnibus, and maybe do a review of the omnibus itself. Who knows? But yeah, I'm so excited to read that again. All these books I'm excited to read again, like, apart from Crisis on Infinite Earth, and no, I think that's it. I'm looking over because I have the list open on my laptop, but yeah, maybe Why the Last Man I don't need to read quite just yet, because I did read it really recently and it's a long story. But then again, Invincible and Preacher are long stories and I want to read those again. But yeah, I really, really want to read all these again. Talking about them has made me want to read them again, so I'm probably going to go away and do that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If anyone is still watching, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know some of the classics you've read, like Watchmen, which I've not read. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll speak to you later. See you later, guys. Bye.